Namo Buddhaya. Welcome everyone to another video. So today, let's talk about loneliness and how we can face this situation. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about two things. And the first one is the loneliness, and the second one is the solitude, which is more reframed version of being alone. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about loneliness. When we are around people, when we are living with people, and when we are in relationships with people, normally we feel happy. We feel that we are content, right? And we feel this joyfulness within ourselves. But when they are not around us, or when they leave us, sometimes when we have to depart from them, normally we feel depressed, sad, or lonely, or we feel like no one cares about us. So this is the feeling of loneliness. If we analyze this emotion of loneliness, we can find that we have become happy because of the people around us, because of their reaction, because of their way of behavior. That was the reason that we became happy. Simply it means that we have given the key of our own happiness to other people. So when they leave our life, sometimes when they depart from ourselves, sometimes when they fade away from our life, what happens to us is we become unhappy. We become sad, we become depressed, and we feel like no one is caring for us. There is no one to help for me. That is what we are thinking. So how we can deal with this? Well, that is where we come to the topic of solitude. Supreme Buddha advised us, Supreme Buddha advised the monks to practice this practice of being solitude. So what do you mean by solitude? So first of all, let's compare the loneliness to the solitude. Then you can take some idea about that. In loneliness, when you're lonely, you're thinking for someone to come to your life and make you happy. That means you're depending on others. Your happiness depends on others. But in solitude, you try to find the happiness within yourself. When you find the happiness inside yourself, you don't want to depend on another person. You don't want to depend on second person. You can find your happiness within yourself. And that is what the practice of solitude gives us. So when you're being solitude, or simply when you're being alone, now there are the people talk about this like the loneliness and being alone is two different things, right? So when you're being alone or when you're being in solitude, you're happy. You're not finding the happiness from these outer sources. You find the happiness within yourself. So Buddha teaches us to look at this loneliness not as something to be sad, not as something negative. Buddha teaches us to look at this loneliness, something that is beneficial for you, something that is positive. So how we can use this loneliness, or how we can reframe this loneliness to be positive? Well, if you think about whenever you are being alone, you have more time for yourself, right? You have a bigger freedom for yourself. You can think about yourself. You can reflect more about yourself, and you can practice meditations, or you can think about your health and do some practices about that. You can do some self-development techniques, so you can improve yourself. So when you use that time, when you use that loneliness for good things, then you become more positive about that. Then you will never feel these sad or depressing states. So let me tell you a little story how Buddha felt lonely at one time. Actually, this incident happened to the Buddha before he became enlightened. We call him the Bodhisattva. When he was Bodhisattva, he was practicing this self-mortification for 6 years. He gave lots of hardships to this body. He did some extreme meditations in the jungle. So there were 5 monks who were helping the Bodhisattva. So he practiced these self-mortification meditations for 6 years and he mastered that. Finally, he came to the conclusion of that I cannot achieve this enlightenment by self-mortificating or by giving this extreme hardship to this body. So he decided to find this middle way. So what he did was, first of all, he took his bowl and he went to the village and he got some foods to eat. Because he thought that to do the meditations, I need to have this physical energy. But those 5 monks who were helping to Bodhisattva, who were expecting the enlightenment from the Bodhisattva through this self-mortification, was so confused because they saw that the Bodhisattva is having these foods. Then those 5 monks thought, now he's not going to achieve this enlightenment. The enlightenment can only be achieved by this self-mortification. So they never believed on the Bodhisattva. So what they did was, they left the Bodhisattva. Now our Maha Bodhisattva was all alone in the middle of the jungle. There was no one to help him. There was no one to care about him. No one knew about him. He was all alone. But he didn't think about that loneliness as something depressed or something negative. So he thought, now I have more time for myself. I can do my meditations freely. There was no one to think about me. So I must use this time for my self-development. That is what Maha Bodhisattva thought. So that is the way that we also should think about this loneliness. If you are feeling lonely, if you are having some kind of a loneliness situations in your life, use that time, use that valuable time to create a better life for yourself, because you have more time. You can do meditations. You can stick into a daily routine of the self-development. You can do meditations. You can do workouts. You can walk for some time. And you can be with this nature, read a book, or learn something new, practice meditations, do exercises. These things can be done when you are all alone. So, rather than feeling depressed about the situations that you are in, why can't we become more happy about the time that we are spending alone, right? So practice this, okay? So if people comes to your life, let them come. If people walks away from your life, let them walk away. But you have to be by yourself. You have to think about yourself. That is what you have to think, and that is what you have to do in this valuable time. So I think you got some idea about the loneliness and being in the solitude. So practice the solitude and make your life more better. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. Today, I want to discuss with you about how can we become peaceful and how can we become calm from our mind. Now we know that we are living in a world where we are constantly bombarded and constantly overloaded with information, with distractions and all of the chaos. So what happens when we live in such an environment is we become so reactive and we tend to lose our peacefulness, we tend to lose our calmness in our mind. And then what happens is our frustration, stress and depression builds in. So how can we deal with this? And what can we do to eliminate these distractions and this constant chatter in our mind and have a peaceful mind in the middle of chaos? So today, I'm going to share a few tips where you can practice in your daily life. And then you can, if you practice this, it will be a great help to find peacefulness and calm in the middle of all the chaos. So the first thing that you have to understand is calmness and peacefulness is not an outer source. It doesn't come from outer world, right? It can be found within. So no matter where you live, no matter what the place you live, no matter what you do, if you really focus on this calmness, and if you're clever enough to find that, then you will be able to find the calmness and peacefulness in the middle of all the chaos. So always remember, calmness and peacefulness should be built and should be developed within, okay? And also, you have to remember one thing, that calmness and peacefulness is not about emptying your mind, right? When you become calm and peaceful, it doesn't say that there's nothing in your mind, no thoughts in your mind, right? Thoughts may appear in your mind, right? There will be lots of thoughts and train of thoughts will be appear in your mind. But when you become really calm and when you become serene from your mind, you tend to not to react to all those stimulations. That is what the real calmness and peacefulness means, okay? Normally, when the thoughts appear, right? When all these kind of trains of thoughts appear in our mind, what happens to us is we oftenly react to them, right? We become panicked and we tend to react to them. So the reason why this happens is because we think the thoughts as us. And we tend to think that I am what I think and I am my thoughts. But in reality, thoughts are not you. You are not your thoughts, right? Thoughts are just like they're coming and going. It's like clouds, right? There's the sky and there's the clouds, right? So what is the nature of a cloud? It comes and it swarms around and it goes off, right? Sometimes the sky is cloudy, sometimes the sky is moody, sometimes the clouds are scattered here and there, and sometimes the sky is empty. So you are like the sky and your thoughts are like the clouds, okay? So there's a huge distance between the sky and the clouds. But we often think that the clouds as the sky. Sometimes when it is raining, sometimes when it is moody, we blame to the sky, right? We tend to say that, oh, this weather is not okay. The sky is always raining and it's moody. But sky is not raining. Clouds are what forms the rain, right? Clouds forms the rain. So same as that, when the thoughts appear in your mind, you can take a little step back and think, should I react to this? Should I react upon these thoughts? For an example, if an angry thought came to your mind, what should you do? Just pause a little bit and think, should I react to this? You can have a little bit of a time and think about it. Oh, this is anger. I should not react to this. This is jealousy. I should not react to this. Okay? It's okay to have thoughts in your mind, but if you want to be peaceful, you should not, and you should choose to not to react to those thoughts. So there are a few practices where we can do in our daily life to bring and to make a little bit of a help to this peacefulness and calmness. One thing that you can do is that you can slow down your body movement for a little time period of the day. Maybe like when you have time and when you're working by yourself, maybe like you're walking, maybe like you're writing something, or maybe like you're studying. Try to maintain slow body movements. Now, why I say this? Because our body and our mind is highly interconnected. Okay? When our thoughts become panicked, our body become panicked. So in the other way, if we calm down and if we slow down our bodily movements, it will be a great help for us to slow down the thought process. then you can take a little time and think about what comes to your mind. That is one thing that you can do. And also there's another great practice that Buddha told us to do, that is called breathing meditation. When you do the breathing meditation, you reduce these heavy loads of thoughts into 2 thoughts, in breath and out breath. In breathing meditation, all what we are doing is we are constantly becoming aware of in breath and out breath. When you do that, it's sort of like condensing your mind. It's sort of like making your mind soft and peaceful and non-reactive. That is what you can do. And also there's another thing that you can do, is to not to judge your thoughts and to be aware of your thoughts. I will give you an example. It's like you're watching a traffic pass by the side of the road, right? You can see cars and bikes and vans and buses are going, but you're not going to judge them. You're not going to stop them. You're not going to chase behind them. You sit by the road and you just watch them. Let the vehicles be the vehicles and you be you. In the same way, let the thoughts be the thoughts and you be you. When you become less reactive to your thoughts, you can find that peacefulness and calmness in your mind. So I hope you got some light about the calmness and peacefulness from this video. So I hope may all of you be well and happy, and may all of you be calm and peaceful forever. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. In today's video, let's talk about how to control our negative emotions and how to control our mind. Well, the nature of our mind is it always likes to wander in negative emotions and negative thoughts. Negative thoughts like anger, desire or lust, or then jealousy, maybe resentment. These are the negative thoughts that our mind likes to wander in. So how can we control it? Well, our great teacher Supreme Buddha introduced us a gradual training where you can practice this controlling of negative emotions or negative thoughts in your mind. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce them to you. So first and foremost, before getting into these steps, there is one thing that you have to practice, and there is one thing that you have to master, and that is awareness. If you are not aware of what you are thinking, if you are not mindful about what you are thinking, then you cannot control it. So you have to totally understand and you have to totally be aware of what you are thinking. Okay? So whenever you become aware of what you are thinking, then you will have that power to control it. So here comes the first step. Buddha says, whenever you become aware of your mind is wandering in negative thoughts like anger or lustful thoughts or resentment or jealousy, the first thing is to shift your thought pattern to something wholesome. There are some wholesome thoughts in your mind which makes you peaceful. Maybe like thinking of something that you have done in the past, like maybe you helped someone. Whenever you think that thought, your mind becomes happy and peaceful. So what you're going to do is, whenever you become aware of your negative thoughts, we're going to shift our thought pattern to something that is wholesome, something that makes us peaceful. So that is the first thing that Buddha says. Shift your thoughts to wholesome thoughts. If that first step did not work out, then what you have to do, go for the next step. What is that? Buddha says, think about the disadvantages of thinking negative emotions, right? If you are constantly having angry thoughts, then you have to think, these thoughts are hurting myself and others. If I take actions according to these thoughts, it will hurt myself and the others. Remember, it may be a little thought of anger, but if it grow up, what will happen? It will be destructive. So what do you have to do? Think about the drawbacks or disadvantages of thinking these negative thoughts. Then, whenever you see these disadvantages, your mind will tend to stay away from these negative thoughts. Most of the time, we are not aware of these disadvantages. Okay? So what do you have to do?
think, if I keep on thinking these negative thoughts, it is not going to help me. It will disrupt my peacefulness, right? That is the second step. Then as the third step, Buddha says, pay no mind, pay no attention. If the second step did not work out, go for the third step, to not to pay any attention to that thought, right? See, whenever we give so much attention to something, maybe a thought, it grows again and again, it grows more, right? For an example, if you became angry with someone and if you keep thinking about him again and again and becoming angry, that anger will grow more and more. So what do you have to do? We have to let the thought be a thought without paying much attention, right? When you just stay away from giving attention, then it will fade away from your mind. It's something like this. Have you seen little babies, when they fall down, they start to cry, right? If the parent or the mother or father see that it is not a big deal of falling, if mother or father did not give any attention to that baby, what does he do? He just don't care about that. He will stop crying. Same thing goes with our mind. If we did not pay any attention to that thought, right? If we did not care about that thought and just let it go and let it pass away from our mind, then it will fade away. That is one way of doing that. If the third step did not work for you, then the Buddha says, go for the fourth step, to relax your thought process, right? Now remember, when you think negative thoughts, your mind becomes so much busy, so much rough and distracted. So, what you're going to do is, you're thinking, why am I thinking these distractive thoughts, these negative thoughts that are making me so much busy and making me distracted, right? So, what you're going to do is, you're relaxing your thought process to something very soft and subtle. Maybe like loving kindness, maybe like compassion, right? Maybe like gratefulness. When you think those thoughts, when you think more positive thoughts, your mind or your thought process becomes so much relaxed. And then if the fourth step did not work for you, then it comes the final step. This is something that we have to do with a great care. I do not recommend for everyone to do this. This should be done with a great experience and a good practice, right? And that is to crush your thought with awareness, right? You have to be totally aware of your thinking pattern and have a good determination to your mind that I am not going to think these negative thoughts, right? But this should not be done by everyone, right? Some may be not good at this, right? If you keep on becoming aware and if you keep on forcing this mind, it will grow more and more these negative thoughts. So if all those 4 steps did not work for you, then you have to go for the final step, right? So it is much better to practice these 4 thoughts before doing the final one, okay? So practice these things. When you practice, you will feel and you will understand that your negative emotions are fading away little by little. Remember, this is not going to happen overnight. It will take a long time to do this, but you have to keep on practicing. Keep on doing it. Make it a habit, and then you will become a master of it. So practice this practice and make your mind a place where free from negative thoughts. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. Now I need to ask a question from you. When was the last time you had a sound sleep and after you wake up, you felt so good? I think most of the time we don't get a good sleep, and that is why we are feeling tired after a good sleep even. So today we're going to talk about how to wake up in the morning without feeling tired. Now remember, the quality of your wake up is highly dependent on how you sleep, the quality of your sleep. So first of all, let's talk about how to have a better sleep. Our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, taught us that if you can practice the love and the kindness throughout your life, in your heart, practically, you will sleep better. Right? So it says that it is so important to maintain a kind and a calm and a peaceful heart to have a better sleep. So your sleep is highly affected by several things. It depends on what you do during the day, and it depends on how you approach the bed, your sleeping posture, and also it depends on what you do after you wake up. So we are going to talk about these things. So let's talk about how the things happen during the day affects our sleep. Now, if you spend most of the time in the day by being angry with people, by being jealous of others, by fighting with others and being sad and frustrated, then your mentality is not in a good condition. And then when you go to the bed, you will never have a peaceful sleep because your mind and your body is not ready for that, and it hasn't become peaceful. So it is so important to maintain a peaceful and a calm mind during the day, right? Of course, we cannot control the situations that we face during the day. We cannot control people complaining us, criticizing us, bullying us. We cannot control these things, but we can control our response to them, right? So we, by our own self, make the choice to be angry, to be jealous, to be frustrated, to blame. So what you have to do, you need to maintain and you need to try as much as possible to be kind and to be friendly with people, right? To help others, to do the good things, which makes you happy within. So if you can maintain a peaceful heart and peaceful mind during the day, even in the middle of the adversities and the problems, then no one can control and no one can destroy your peacefulness. So when you approach the bed and when you go to the sleep, you're going with a kind and a peaceful heart. So your sleep quality will be increased. And also the sleep is highly dependent on how you approach the bed, right? So in brief, I must say, approach the bed with a clean body and a clean mind, right? So how we approach the bed with a clean body? Refresh your body before you are going to sleep. Don't go to sleep with dust-filled bodies and sweat-filled bodies, right? You can have a little bit of a shower. If it was a cold shower, it is much better. But if you cannot have a cold shower, if you are not in a condition of having a cold shower, then have a lukewarm shower, right? Then you go to the bed. And when you go to the bed, it is much more important to clean your mind. So how to do that? And that's where the meditation comes in, right? You can bring in a meditation before you sleep. So it is so easy to practice a session or 5-minute session of loving kindness meditation, right? You can spread the love and kindness towards yourself first, and you can spread the same love and kindness to your family members, to your neighbors, to your people around your village, maybe the people in your town, and you can spread the love and kindness to the whole world. when you spread the thoughts and when you generate these thoughts within your mind gets so peaceful and it will become so serene. So bring in a loving kindness meditation before you sleep, right? And then you can go to the sleep with a clean body and a clean mind. And also, the quality of your sleep is highly dependent on your sleeping posture, right? Most of the people, they sleep on their stomach. They sleep facing down. But that is not a good posture to sleep. Our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, to the right side, and that posture is called Singhasaya, the lion's posture, which was used by our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, throughout his whole life. So if you can try that posture, that is one of the best postures to sleep. And also you can sleep to the left side, right? So these postures will increase your quality of the sleep, right? So these things affects your sleep in many ways, and it makes a huge impact. And then let's talk about what we should do after we wake up. Now, I need to share with you some tips which you can practice soon after you wake up, right? So first of all, do not do this. Do not hit the snooze button. Now, many of you hit the snooze button and you go back to the sleep. Remember, when you hit the snooze button and when you go to the sleep again, that sleep is not a perfect sleep, right? And that is why you are feeling tired after you wake up. So what you have to do, don't hit the snooze button. Wake up and get down from the bed soon after you wake up, right? So you can keep your alarm clock, maybe your mobile phone, you can set the alarm and you can keep that thing across your room in a distance where you should walk to the alarm clock and stop it. So it will help you to get down from the bed. So that is one tip. And the next one is drink some water soon after you wake up. You can keep a glass of water near your alarm clock. Then you can stop the alarm and have a drink of water, right? And then it's better to have a little bit of a shower in the morning. If it is a cold shower, it is much better. But if you cannot have a cold shower, then go for a lukewarm shower and you will feel so refreshed in the morning. And after that, do some exercises, have some stretches on your body, then you're good to go, right? So these things, if you can do these things soon after you wake up, it will keep up the refreshness that you feel in the morning throughout the day. So that is how we have a peaceful wake up early in the morning and feel refreshed. So I hope you enjoy this video. And I wish you all, may all of you be well and happy, and may all of you live long, and may all of you realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautam Buddha's dispensation. Do you know how amazing your mind can serve for you if you know how to control and master your thoughts? And that is why they say that mind is the best servant if you know how to master your thoughts. Right? But if you let your mind to become your master, you will end up nothing but as a slave of it. So how can we control our mind? How can we deal with these negative thoughts? Now, so many people think that they can remove a negative thought and plant a positive thought inside it. But in reality, you will never be able to remove a thought from your mind by force. Right? Go ahead and do it, right? You will never be able to do that. The more you try, the more you use the force to remove a thought or forget it, the more it will come back to you and haunt you. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a simple and a practical way to use the energy of that negative thought to drive it into a more positive state of our mind by simply asking these 5 questions from yourself, right? These questions will help you to come into this present moment, and it will encourage you to cultivate more wholesome qualities and wholesome thoughts inside your mind, okay? But before starting, I have to remember none of these practices and none of these things are easy. But with the time, if you keep on practicing it, right? If you stick into the process and if you keep on doing it, it will be very easy for you to do that, okay? And once you become used to it, and once you get used to that, it is very easy to deal with negative thoughts in your mind, and it is very easy to control your mind. So let's dive in. The first question that you have to ask from yourself is, what are the thoughts that keep me away from peace? What are the thoughts that steal my peacefulness inside me? When you ask this question from yourself, you can go through the weaknesses of yourself, right? Because the weaknesses are different from one person to another. For someone, the thought that steals their peacefulness is the anger. For another person, it is the jealousy. For another person, it is the procrastination or the laziness. Okay? So when you ask from yourself, what makes me disturbed? Okay? What steals my peacefulness? Then you will have a good understanding about what are the weaknesses inside you. Once you realize what are the weaknesses inside you, okay, what thought pattern steals your peacefulness, then it is very easy for you to deal with that negative state of your mind. Okay? So ask from yourself, what steals my peacefulness? And have a good understanding about it. The second question that you can ask from yourself is, what am I thinking right now? This is one of the best questions that you can ask from yourself to bring your mind to this current and present moment. Okay? To have a good understanding about the current situation of your mind. Because most of the time, our mind lives in either it is in past or it is in the future. It is hardly our mind lives in this present moment. So once you ask this question, what am I thinking now? Ask this question as much as possible from yourself. What am I thinking now? What am I doing now? When you ask from yourself that, it comes, your awareness comes into this present moment. Okay? Because most of the time, our awareness travels from one arena to another. Maybe it is in the past, maybe it is in the future. It hardly comes to this present moment. Once you come into this present moment, it is very easy for you to solve the problem because you know what is going inside. Okay? When you ask from yourself that question, you can come up with so many answers. Okay? Ask it from yourself and you will come up with these answers like, my mind is in anger now, right? I am at stress now. I'm in a problem. I'm thinking about something. I'm worrying about something. Okay? Once you identify that, right? Once you catch your thought, it is very easy to deal with it. Now you came to this present moment and you identify the thought. Now you have to ask the third question. The third question is this thought pattern helpful for me? Right? When you ask this question from yourself, you dive into that problem and you started to think the downside of that negative state. For an example, if you're in anger, if you ask from yourself, is this anger really gonna help me? Is it going to help me? Then you will come up with the answer, no. It is not going to help me. It only hurts me and the other person. Right? It will lead to many problems. When you ask that question from yourself, it gives you the chance to think about the disadvantages and the downside of your thought patterns. The more you realize the disadvantages of your thought patterns, it is very easy to stay out of it because you know that it is going to hurt. Because most of the time, we do things and we think without realizing and without thinking about the disadvantages of it. And that is why it is the best thing to ask from yourself that, is it really going to help me? Now you identified your state of your mind. Now you came to this present moment. Now you know that it is not going to help you. As the next question, now you can ask from yourself, what is the best thing to do instead of staying in this negative state, right? For an example, if you're in anger, ask from yourself, what is the best thing to do instead of staying in anger? Now, what should I do now? Then you will come up with the answer that I should forgive people. I should let go of this anger. If I need to be at peace, right? If I need to find the peacefulness inside my mind, then I need to let go of this anger. Okay? I need to remove it. Now you come up with a solution. Now the best part is, the most amazing thing is, every one of us know what is good and bad. We know what to do and what not to do. Okay? Now for an example, let's say, now we know that too much sugar is bad for our health. But what we do, when we are going to make a teacup, we just pour some extra sugar into it. We put some extra sugar into it. We know it is bad, right? Without considering about it is bad, we do it. And that is why the correct thing that you can do is think about, what is the best thing that I can do now, right? Is it to forgive that people? Is it to let go of that jealousness? Is it to let go of that laziness and continue to work, right? When you think about that, you come up with a solution from yourself, okay? You find the solution through yourself. So ask this question from yourself, then what is the best thing that I can do to stay away from this negative state of my mind? Now you came up with a solution for your problem. Now what you have to do is to think about the benefits of cultivating this positive state of your mind. Okay? Try to think about the benefits of forgiving. Try to think about the benefits of staying away from jealousyness. Try to think about the staying away from laziness and getting to work. Okay? Once you do that, you will come up with the benefits of it. You will find the reward of it. The more you see the benefits of something, the more you will tend to be in that state. Okay? Because you know that you're going to get something good into your life. So try to ask from yourself, what are the benefits that I'm going to get by cultivating these wholesome thoughts? That is the fourth one. So now you ask all the questions from yourself, right? Now you know what to do and you know the benefits of it, right? Now there's only one thing that you have to do, and that is to take action. Go ahead and do it, right? Do the wholesome things and cultivate more wholesome qualities to your mind. But remember, none of these things are easy to our life, okay? It is very difficult. We have to try hard. We will fail when we are doing these things. But one thing that we have to do is we have to keep on doing it, whether we fail or not, okay? Once you do it continuously, okay? Once you maintain that consistency, you will be good at it. And it will be a part of your life, right? So that is how we deal with our mind. That is how we deal with the negative states of mind. So practice this and see it will work for you. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you some thoughts of the Buddha about praise and blame. Now, when we think about our life, when people criticize us, when people blame us, what is our normal reaction? We feel angry about ourselves in the first place. And we tend to hate that person, of course. And also we feel sad in the same time. This is our normal reaction. And in the other hand, when people praise us, what is our reaction? We feel so much happy. We tend to think like, I'm the best. Well, Buddha teaches us these things are two extremes. Becoming too much happy when people praises you is one extreme. Becoming too much sad when people criticizes you is another extreme. So what do we have to do in such situations? The Buddha says you have to maintain a moderate mind in such situations. So how to do that? Well, let me tell you a nice story about how Buddha dealt with such a situation. One day, while the Buddha was walking down the street with a group of monks, two people came behind the Buddha and they started talking each other. One was praising the Buddha. One was saying so much good qualities and good things about the Buddha, and the other person started blaming the Buddha. He started criticizing the Buddha. But in that case, in that instance, Buddha didn't react to such things. What he did was he kept walking. He went his journey. And in the other day, the monks gathered around and they were discussing about the incident that had happened in the last day. They were talking, it's really amazing that these two people came up to us and one was praising and in the same instance, the other one also criticizing us. We got the blame and the praise in the same time. Isn't that wonderful? Then while these monks was talking about this, the Buddha came to that place and said, "What are you talking about?" Then the monks said, "Oh, Venerable Sir, we were talking about the incident that was happened yesterday." Then the Buddha said, "Dear monks, when someone criticizes you, maybe when someone criticizes about the Buddha or his teachings or his followers about you, you should not be angry with them. You should not be displeased with them." Why? Then the Buddha said, if you become angry, if your mind is covered with anger, what is happening within you is you lose the ability to decide whether that criticism or whether that blame is true or false. You cannot understand about that because your mind is covered with anger. Anger has overcome your mind. So with an angry mind, you cannot decide what is good or bad. So in that case, Buddha taught us you should not be angry. And you should wisely reflect about what he or she is telling us. Whether that bad quality or whether that criticism, whether that fault is within us or not. You have to think like that. Right? If that fault or if that mistake is within you, then what do you have to do? You have to correct it. Make it correct. Develop your life. So that is one thing that you have to do. And if there is no such thing, or if that person is falsely accusing you, if there is no such mistake inside your mind, inside your life, and still that person is criticizing you, what do you have to do? Just let that go. Don't care about that because it is not in your life. You should not be angry. That is one thing that you have to do. When you practice in a such way, what happens to you is you maintain a moderate mind. You're not going to an extreme. You're not becoming too much angry. You're not feeling too much sad about yourself. That is one thing that we can do. And in the other hand, when people praises us, we become too much happy. The Buddha said, no, you should not be too much happy about that. The Buddha said, when someone praises you, when someone says good things about you, what do you have to do? Don't be too much happy, because when you become too much happy, it also acts as a hindrance to your mind. When you become overjoyed, you lose your ability to realize or find what is good or what is bad, whether that good thing is within my mind or not. You have to wisely reflect about your life. Is that good thing, is that good quality is within my mind or within my life? Am I doing that good thing or not? If you're doing that good thing, you don't want to be too much happy, because it is inside, it is already inside your life. You're doing that, right? So in that way, you're not becoming too much happy about the things, right? So these are the two extremes. When we bring our mind to the moderate way, not becoming too much happy, not becoming too much sad, then you can maintain a peaceful mind. Then you will not think about anyone or think about yourself that I am the best in the world. Because when people praises you, you think like, okay, I'm the best in here. Right? That is not being humble. That is something like a swollen-headed person do. Right? And the other hand, when people criticizes us, what you have to do, we should not be too much sad. Right? If it is wrong, if the fault is within us, we have to correct it. And if the fault is not within us, just ignore it. That is what you have to do. So these are the thoughts of the Buddha about praise and blame. So practice this moderate mind whenever you are facing the praise and the blame in your life. Namo Buddhaya.